Zach Laws of Gold Derby here with Eric Branco. He's the cinematographer of the new film Clemency. Eric, I mean, this is such a powerful and important movie that has a lot to say about capital punishment and the criminal justice system. I wonder, what did you think the first time you read this script? How did it affect you on just like an emotional level?
The first time I read the script, I read probably the first draft of the script in I think 2014, right? So I had done a short film with the director Chinonye Chukwu, and we had a great time. And she kind of pulled me aside toward the end of that film and was like, "Hey, listen, I'm writing something. When it's done, I would love to send it to you." I was like, "Of course." She sent me what was the first draft of Clemency, which kind of would become what it has become, and I read it and just remember being completely blown away by it. And I think I called her back immediately, and I was like, "We have to do it. Like, this is amazing." You know what I mean? Let me know anything you need. And it was one of those movies where it was supposed to go. It was supposed to go kind of every year. We couldn't get the money together, and then finally, I think Alfred came on and kind of lent us some credibility, and yeah, you know, that was it.
Mm-hmm. The movie, I mean, like I said, I mean, it has to do with capital punishment, and Chinonye, from what I understand, did a ton of research into this and volunteering and all of that stuff. You know, for me as a viewer, it's like I go in with my own opinions about it. I think everybody goes in with their own opinions about it. And the movie either solidifies or changes or, you know, I mean, it sparks really interesting discussion. So I just wonder, like, for you personally, did it solidify your views? Did it change your views? What, you know, the experience of working on this film, what did that do for you in terms of your own views on this subject?
I mean, I think for me, it was just more of an eye-opening experience. You know, I've never really been a supporter of the death penalty, but at the same time, it's never been something that I kind of really put much thought into. And it wasn't until Chinonye started, really, not before we started shooting, even started researching this, that I kind of got my first window into the process and how it works, and really the emotional toll, you know, taken on the people who even like work in the prison. You know what I mean? I think that was kind of, I think that's the real eye opener for me. And I think a lot of people that see the movie is I think that you don't realize that the wardens and the people that work in the prison have to kind of go home and deal with this enormous emotional weight. And I think for me, that was the most eye-opening part about working on this film.
Yeah. So with all that in mind, what was your approach to it visually to express all these different feelings and ideas that the script is putting out there? What was your approach for that?
Yeah, I mean, our visual approach was kind of, you know, the idea was that we wanted it to feel restrained. We wanted to have somewhat of a light touch. We didn't want to tell the audience necessarily how to feel and when they should be feeling it. We decided to kind of let a lot of things play in wides, let a lot of things play in singles, which I think you can really only truly do like with an actor of the caliber of Alfre Woodard. You know what I mean? Like, I think you can try that and it might fall apart unless the actress is giving you like the kind of performance Alfre gives in this film. You know, there were small things we did. I think a lot of the stuff we did on this movie, we wanted you to feel and not see. So like the whole movie kind of starts pretty wide. And throughout the film, we get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter until at the very end, pretty much the entire end of the film is close up. Probably the last like 10 minutes of the film is entirely told in close up. With one, like, I think particularly powerful close up of Alfre. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and, you know, we did a lot of things where, you know, we differentiated the prison, which was kind of like a cooler bluish green tone, from the outside world, which is kind of like a warmer reds and browns tone. You know, we had those kind of visual signifiers of where you were in the world using color. The only time that kind of cool blue works its way into outside the prison is when she's watching TV, kind of about the case. So the TV light is very, very cool. And that's kind of like, you know, we're kind of symbolizing kind of the prison invading her home life a little bit with that. The angle of lighting changes significantly. In the prison, everything comes from overhead. And then at home, everything comes from like eye level. Everything is kind of practical light from eye level. So kind of those are, you know, a couple of the things we did. We worked a lot on framing in the beginning of the film in her office. One side of her office is like entirely windows, and the other side is a wall, is a like wood paneled wall. If you notice, every scene we start facing the windows, and then every scene we come back to her office. We're around and around and around further until the very last time we see her, she's almost in profile, and the camera's looking at her against the wall. Things like that, where we kind of took this kind of like long approach to
right
the style.
That's interesting to hear you talk about that, because I mean, I was thinking about my own reactions to watching the movie, and I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen it yet. But that close up you're talking about of Alfie's face, it is so impactful, and it does stay with you long after you've seen the movie. And you know, it makes me want to go back and look at the movie again, because to hear you talk about how you got in closer and closer as the movie went on, and so that shot has that kind of impact.
Yep.
You know, it's like you're drawing the audience into the world of this character bit by bit by bit. Was that part of the thinking there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the whole game plan. You know, it was the kind of thing where you know, again, not to give anything away, but kind of possibilities and avenues of where the story can go fall by the wayside, like as the movie moves forward. So, you know, kind of there's this kind of ratcheting of tension as we get toward the end of the film, and we definitely wanted to express that visually as well. And the best way we could think about doing that was really, really remove everything from the frame except for the characters' faces.
Right. You know, in terms of lighting, right? It's a very dark film in a lot of ways, right? And it feels brooding and gloomy. Were there visual references that you guys looked at as as kind of like a way of capturing that sort of feeling?
Yeah, a lot of our references were we did a lot of photo reference. I think the work of Gordon Park's color work was a big reference for us in terms of kind of like tonality of darker skin tones. I think the work of Bellatar was influential on us. But yeah, I mean, I think, if you want to give me a second, I can, who else? Oh, Caligula. I think it was another influence, and as far as some kind of darker skin tones lit by fluorescent light, specifically, that was part of that was one of the things we were going for. I think we wanted this prison to come across, I think, a little more accurately to what a modern prison is, right? Like we specifically shied away from the kind of like romantic ideas of like what a prison could be, which is like deep brick walls and kind of like swinging tungsten pendant lamps and, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. And we definitely went more toward the kind of like cinder block and fluorescent aesthetic, which is what prisons are now. Which also something that was important for us was to try and visually convey that this is, yes, a prison, but it's also the workplace for these people. And so part of our kind of like overhead fluorescent mandate in the prison was to kind of reflect the lighting scene in different office spaces.
It's definitely a long way away from Shawshank, you know. It's very in terms of the feeling that you get.
Exactly.
Working with Chinoye, you mentioned you had worked with her before on a short film. What is that collaboration like? I mean, this is, from what I understand, her first real feature film. So, I mean, what was that experience like working together on this?
It was amazing. I mean, I think so. This was her second feature. Her first was, I think, a smaller micro budget feature. But I think this was her first feature with like trucks and crews. You know what I mean? Like, which I think is tough. I think a lot of people get tripped up. Like once movies scale up, it's the kind of thing where you have like 10 different people coming to you between every take, asking you questions about what's this, what's next, where are we going, blah, blah, blah. And I think, what I think Chenoy's amazing talent is that she was able to keep her creative vision and keep her creative clarity through that entire process, and was always felt like a leader, and always felt like someone you wanted to really do your best work for.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned, you are a burgeoning talent, so I'm interested in like what you think of as some of the, well, let's say this. I mean, who are some of the people that you look to for influence, and like how do you see your style developing,
Cinematographers that I look to for?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Or photographers,
Yeah, I definitely, as far as cinematographers go, I would say probably Rodrigo Prieto is a huge influence on me. Bradford Young is a huge influence. I think Reed Morano is a huge influence. I think, especially like with Brad and Reed, cinematographers who, for them, it's not only about the visual style, but it's about the kind of stories you want to tell and the kind of stories you want to see told, and how best you can aid that, I think is as important to me as the visual style of the film, is the stories that you're going to help facilitate and get out into the world. So they're huge influences on me in that regard. As far as photographers go, I would say probably Bruce Davidson is a huge influence. Again, Gordon Parks. I would say Berton's a huge influence. I'm sure I can think of more. Probably every new question you ask, I'll probably have another two photographers.
Yeah, that's it. I saw a little bit of like that Bradford Young influence in this. Kind of like the way that he uses shadows and darkness in the frame to kind of like create this atmospheric feeling. That it's interesting how like people, you gain influence from the legends. Each generation gains influence from each great cinematographer, and then like you develop your own style from that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Before I let you go, this movie, ever since it premiered at Sundance, it's had a lot of really strong reactions from audiences, winning the prize at Sundance and getting these Independent Spirit nominations and Gotham nominations. What does that recognition mean for you guys? For this tiny little movie that is about such a tough subject matter to get through.
I mean, it's the nominations and kind of the recognition has been crazy. I think it's definitely on my end totally unexpected, right? I didn't think that this small movie that was really tackling something that probably people did not want to confront head on would be recognized the way it is. So, I mean, it definitely kind of restores my faith in, like, in cinema and in these kind of festivals and everything, because I'll let this truck pass.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think the fact that we've been so recognized, I think is really special for me. And I'm happy that this film that we all kind of poured our hearts into is really going to get out there and be seen.
And what are you working on now? Anything you can tell us about?
Yeah, I just finished a film called The 40-Year-Old Version, directed by Rada Blank. Really cool movie. We shot the whole thing on black and white film in New York over the summer. So hopefully that'll be out soon. It's a comedy. It's kind of like the polar opposite of Clemency. So hopefully we'll like have a not so somber Q&A after the festival screenings.
Right, you get a chance to do some other kind of. Yeah, well, Eric, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on your work.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.